got to be influenced by. So anyways, I will open it up to much smarter people on this call. Thank you so much, Howie, for sharing so much of the process. I'm sure lots of people will have some questions about it. And I'll open it up first to our CEO, Wally Kozak.
Great job, Howie. Before I ask you a question, I want to share my thoughts. And what you have done is reinforced in my mind the importance of emotional intelligence side of coaching. The X's and O's, they are important, but they aren't going to be the difference maker. So any coach, however way they choose to go, that can build the relationships and the trust, can transmit belief and achieve success, and you did that. When I watched the skill level of the girls at practice, and I saw your first two practices, Howie, you took defensive skating to another level with excellent tactical skating drills. And your practice was focused on one-on-one D-zone cover. Now, I didn't come to all the practices, but I saw the talent of the kids and the passing of the kids, and I thought, gee, they got to focus on offense more. Anybody can play defense. And I watched the under-17s last night. Your team was talented, and I'll tell you, these kids were so talented, I would be afraid to coach them. So the point is, regardless of how the approach you take, the most important thing to remind all the coaches out there is creating a culture that's positive. And you did that. And I'm curious about, you mentioned the player in that one game who stood up and sort of establish a mindset for the team to take over and have success. And I'm curious about everybody here, whether it's a player on your team or even you yourself in that moment, being able to say something that impacted them. Is there anybody else in terms of your coaching or players on your team that internally provided the sort of impetus to change the mindset to achieve success? And how you can think back to your Panda teams and even other national teams. So anybody, it's those moments that come up that just flip the switch of belief.
Sorry, is that a question for me, or is that?
Yeah, that's you. Yes, you, Howie.
Oh, sorry.
Maybe specifically answer this team, because a lot of us watched that U18 championship, but then other, I'm sure, national and Panda teams. And then maybe, Wally, throw it back to you. I'm sure you've had so many moments like that in your career where you've seen players do that as well.
Yeah. So I'll say that, you know, for me, I think there may have been one or two moments over my career that maybe I've been able to do that, but I think it's far more powerful if you do the work at the front end and you create the space for the people to lead in the moment. I think so your players primarily, your coaching staff. So Vicky had so as I said, kind of things morph over that. Your theme morphs a little bit, and we felt that, okay, we're not blue collar enough. This is actually the term that Vicky brought up. We need to be. So you talked about her keeping things light. Absolutely, she's a genius at that, but she's also passionate, right? And so I moved out of the way and I let her talk about blue collar. You know, and so that became one of our terms over the latter part of that tournament was, we got to be a blue collar team. And if we're going to be successful, we have to be a blue collar team and play in blue collar way. So I think we started doing that. And I don't necessarily, I think, you know, the States, if we're looking at the final game, they would have wanted to go toe to toe skill wise. That's their game. Ours is maybe, I know this is probably speaking not necessarily to the group, but because you guys, you're very innovative and creativity is huge and all that stuff, but we had to play a more Canadian game if we wanted to be successful in that moment. That's where we kind of came to. And
can you kind of describe blue collar? So do you mean like gritty or like extra? Like what does that mean to you?
Yeah, definitely purposeful contact. So we had to slow them down. So we had to contact them more. I felt like we did that. We had to just play simple and establish a forecheck. It sounds so cliche, but we needed to get the puck behind their defense. We felt that the States didn't want to play in their zone. Of course, who wants to play in their zone? But particularly them, they thrive through the neutral zone and the offensive zone. So we wanted to get it behind them. We wanted to establish a forecheck, create turnovers, and get pucks to net. Right, and it's a simple way to play the game, but in the moment, that's what we needed to do to find success. We felt. But again, just kind of getting back to your original, it's creating the space for others to step up, stand up, and lead. And yeah, I could probably think of one or two moments if I had a better memory and maybe a little bit more time. But I'm sure that there would have been one or two opportunities where some players shared some of their feelings too. I just can't really.
Well, it might not have been in a full group too. Like a defenseman turns to their D partner and says something really profound. History doesn't acknowledge that, right? That doesn't it's the history teller gets to tell it in the way that they want it to. But I'm sure, Wally, you probably had some ideas in mind of times that happened over your career.
With Tom Malloy on, I don't know that Tom took over the state women's team. They were halfway through the season, and he was struggling to make the playoffs. And we were playing the NAIT team, and they were almost an undefeated first place team. And I traveled to NAIT for that last game, and I got to be on the bench a couple of times with Tom. And in that game, I believe it was going into overtime, and I stayed back and talked to the backup goalie. And I asked her what she thought. And what she said to me was like, wow. I said, would you say that to the team?
Wally, backup goalies are often the smartest, right?
Yeah. Well, they see things. She's been on the bench for both games. She's a part of the team, and she expressed herself to me. And when Tom asked me to give my 2 bits in the dressing room, I deferred to her. And Holly, she talked about, we're a blue collar team. We got to get back to our game. We got to play our game. And I thought it flipped the switch a little bit to the players putting together. And I also watched Tom manage the bench and get the right people out there. I wouldn't have managed the bench that way and as well as he did. So he had a tremendous intuition for that. And sometimes assistant coaches are really good at helping you with line combinations. And I've found that over the years, I've worked with the assistant coaches that just gave me input that opened my mind up to other possibilities to make better decisions with. But that's an example. I've had a lot of cases where luck or intuition have occurred with me in terms of spur of the moment things that have come up causing me to make a decision. But the underlying factor to all the success I've had, Howie, like you, is that philosophy of everybody being valued and feeling a part of a team and contributing, and not being feeling less than others, feeling valued. And the biggest problem in minor hockey, and I even think at competitive levels, even at the NHL, is not everybody feels valued. Not everybody has a role and feels part of the team. The trust, the relationships, between the staff and the organizations are dysfunctional. And I know, even though we may have won the gold medal in Salt Lake City, we were a pretty dysfunctional staff. And I credit Sovichov for being able to just filter everything through and make the correct decisions at the right time, and allowing intervention, which I made a few times, and suggestions. But the biggest suggestion of all, Howie, to my coaching with the national team was I would not do it if they didn't agree to play everybody in all situations in the first half of the season and create 10 power play people and 10 penalty kill people in the second half of the season. I think that was the recipe for success for 3 of the consecutive gold medals. Everybody felt valued. The power of the players to play the game and make their own decisions. I can go back to Vicky being on the ice. The last 7 seconds in the second period, Sammy, and that I think they were aligned in Ontario together, and they had a little bit of a huddle. They won the draw, and I think it was Brisson wheeled the puck behind the net and threw a stretch pass.
Becky Keller. It was Becky Keller.
Okay, Becky, that's right,
Yeah.
Keller. Stayed on side, scored a goal with 2 seconds left. So the players came up with this tactical play on their own. And I sort of told them when, we had face-off plays, and I said, well, you guys make up your own. Just make up your own, do your thing. That was during the season. But when they did that, I went over to Danielle as an assistant. When you score a goal in the last minute of a period, that's like worth 2. And I thought 1 second's got to be worth 3. So I went over to Danielle and I said, Danielle, I just repeated the importance of that goal, the impact it would have, how it would make us put the Americans down a little bit. And I said, let's not change anything on forecheck, because most teams will sit back and trap and not force. Just don't say anything. Don't even change anything. Let them play the same way. And that's what we did. And it ended up, I felt valued as a coach, but I had to have a sense of feel about intervention and the right stuff, right amount, right time, because I can be a little bit imposing. And that was what I enjoy assisting more than head coaching, because the weight is on your shoulders. And Howie, I really respect hearing what you said about your ability to engage not just the coaching staff, but to utilize them and all other staff members. So I really better understand now why you could turn around what appeared to be an impossible situation. So it was kudos to you. It was just absolutely amazing. And I think that I'm looking forward to the future of female hockey now, because I think the mindset and approach that Sammy, that we lived through, you lived through, and now I think they're providing a healthier environment, a better culture for players coming in. I still believe a vision is very important, and the vision is something that, number one, is the culture and how you do it, and the vision for the way the game is changing and how we have to adapt to it. And I believe that we've got to be better tactically and in terms of team play, and learn from what the men are doing. So Howie, when I had my heart attack in 2007 and returned to Hockey Canada, I revised the curriculum, and you know about that because we did the D-zone walkthrough on a tennis court that Sammy's talked about. That was in the curriculum, and everything was all defense. But after the heart attack, I saw the females just get so much better. They were ready to do more things offensively. So I basically revised the curriculum and edited video from female and male NHL clips of stuff that they were ready to do in the future. And we're not there yet on the male side or on the female side. The male side appears to be, I don't know, it's because the boys are so skilled, they don't want to distract them from playing that way, but there's a balance now of allowing for that degree of free play and creativity and decision making so they can make plays together with the puck. And the best defense is an offense, having the puck in the first place. So that's just something philosophically over many years in the FEPRO program I wanted to share with you, because I'm watching, when I watched the entire tournament, I watched the World Championships, and I watched the B pool side, even though they were trying to qualify. And I know Thomas Pacino is over there with the Czechs, and Carla's taken over. And I think that line of freeing them up to play, the Czechs amazed me in that they were able to be tied with 10 minutes left with the Americans.
Oh, at the Olympics, yeah, in the quarterfinal. That was quite the game.
So they played well without the puck, but they played better than anybody with it, given the fitness level and the talent level of the team. So my philosophy of approaching the game moving forward at the highest level would be to advise the branches and the coaching staffs to just let the reins come free, let them think and make plays for themselves. And I thought when you played Finland the second time, I saw many completed passes. I thought they were on track. They were back to playing together with the puck. We had the puck a lot more often. And we played defense by having the puck in their end a lot more often. So there's tactics and strategies and engaging the defensemen and involving them in the offense and being able to interchange positions that the men appear to be doing. And I think the game's got a ways to go yet, but it's going to be great. And I'm hoping around long enough to watch it progress. So I'm wondering, Tim and Mike, in your coaching